Raider Nation. Thank you for joining us on the Only Nation podcast, brought to you by the Raider Ramble. My name is Heidi, but you may know me as Kevlar Prom Dress or even Raider Ladybug. I'm here with Raider Homer and T3 Raider Facts, and we're ready to talk some Raiders football together.
Always ready to talk Raider football, especially with the Raider Nation explosion right around the corner.
That's right, Homer. Training camp is almost here, but there's still off-season stuff to talk about, so let's go.
Today on the show, we'll look at a couple of off-season news items from the past 2 weeks, and then we'll talk about Raider Nation Explosion 2 and go over some players we've got our eye on this preseason. We won't have our regular episode next week, but we might have some surprises from Raider Nation Explosion.
All right, Raider Nation, this is the Only Nation podcast, and we want to hear from the Only Nation. So give us a call at 904-701-8667. That's 904-701-8667. You can leave us a voicemail or send us a text.
Here's the latest Raider news.
Perhaps the biggest news of the week happened not on the field, but at Raider Nation Radio. Our friend Q Myers, who has been the host of the Locked On Raiders podcast for the past 3 years, is now moving from his post at ESPN Central Texas to take over as the program director for Lotus Broadcasting in Las Vegas. Q will now be in charge of programming for 4 different stations in Vegas, including Raider Nation Radio, where he will also be filling one of the daily radio show spots. Congratulations to Q.
I'll tell you what, I sure am regretting that I didn't get that interview recorded with Q. But, congratulations to Q. He's a hard worker, and he deserves a shot like this. Running and being a program director, that's awesome stuff, man. I hope that one day I could be a program director. Q, let me know if you need an apprentice.
Hey, the great thing about this is he's got his own show on Raider Nation Radio now, so we can not only call in and participate in the show, but you never know if he might bring us on for an occasional tidbit here and there. So we keep doing our thing. He keeps doing his thing. Our paths will probably cross at some point, but nothing but gratitude for all the things that Q has done for me over the past year in terms of helpful tips and advice. And what a great guy. And he is a hard worker. Nobody outworks Q ever. He has gotten to where he's gotten because of all the hard work. He deserves it. And good luck, Q, and certainly congratulations.
Yeah, definitely. And Homer, I hate to break it to you, but he's probably going to want an apprentice who can actually hit record.
Hey, he can teach me how to hit record. That's what I'm going to be an apprentice for.
You knew that one was coming.
Derek Carr made another appearance on Brother for Another on the Peacock Network last week. Carr sat down with hosts Michael Hawley and Michael Smith and discussed his love for the city of Vegas, his excitement for getting to work with his retooled offense, and his support for teammate Carl Nassib, who recently came out as gay to the entire world. In his comments, Carr summed up everything by making this statement: "I want to hold that Lombardi trophy as a Raider."
And, I heard something on one of the radio broadcasts on Raider Nation Radio this past week, and a lot of people are calling for Derek Carr to step up and become the R-rated Derek Carr. And by that, I mean not cursing at his teammates, but becoming a little more on edge and becoming a little more in your face, I guess, if you will, with Gruden in terms of disagreeing with him on plays and kind of doing all the things that Gruden would do when he stood up to Al Davis back in the day. Now, I think he's well on his way, and I think a lot of people who look at the development of Derek Carr over the years have seen that he's certainly working in that direction. But I see Derek having one of his best years ever. I think last year was a big step-up year for him. I think with adequate line protection, with the new weapons he's been added on offense, and definitely with the support of defense, I think we're going to see big things out of number 4 this year.
I don't think you want him to be more than who he is. He's a nice guy. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, I understand what people are asking for him to do, but I think we saw that the last week of last year versus the Broncos. When Gruden wanted to go for 1, but Derek Carr said, no, we're going for 2. And we won the game. So that is there. Derek Carr is starting to be more vocal when it comes to John Gruden. And I think that play showed that Gruden's willing to listen to Derek Carr. I know, again, we've talked about it a lot. Yeah, right? It's like, win now. We're all tired of losing. But you know what? You got to hold on. You got to hold on because there are small things like that, like Derek Carr and John Gruden getting on the same page. Actually, that's a big thing. But those are the things that are starting to happen now. And I just want Derek Carr to continue being himself. Now, stop with the fumbles, right? You know, if he can just fix some of that stuff, you know, we're going to be doing great. And then, yeah, that interview I thought I really liked about how he talked about being a Raider through and through. That's one thing I want people to remember, man, is that these players, they don't come around often, right? So if you start asking him to change to a little bit too much there, he makes him a different person. He is a solid quarterback and a good person, and now he wants to be a Raider, man, for his entire career. That's awesome. You know, NFL or on Raider Nation Radio, they were talking about, did he lose leverage by saying that? He might have, but at the same time, he did that because he doesn't want to be like Aaron Rodgers and Russell Westbrook and Watson, all those guys saying, trade me, I want this, I want that. I love that about Derek Carr. The wins are coming, okay? Derek Carr, like we've talked about, he's like he's barely top 10. That's where Derek Carr is, but you can win a Super Bowl with that caliber of a quarterback. You just need that complementary defense and the offensive weapons necessary to score points, you know, and he's getting those. So I think Derek Carr is well on his way to hoisting up that Lombardi trophy in the silver and black.
And, you know, I probably said it badly when I said that a lot of us expect or want Derek Carr to change. I'm not necessarily saying he needs to change completely and be a different person. I think that change has already happened. I think it's happening organically, and I think he's moving toward the quarterback that Gruden really wants him to be and that Raider Nation really expects him to be. I think he's moving organically toward that. I don't think he needs to make any major changes. There are some things he needs to correct, but I think he knows what they are. And again, having that defense behind him is going to be a huge key.
Absolutely.
The East-West Shrine Bowl, college football's longest-running all-star game, which benefits the Shriners Hospital for Children, will be played on February 3rd, 2022, in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium as part of Pro Bowl week. It's just another example of how the entire league is now gravitating towards Las Vegas.
Man, Mark Davis is fixing to be rolling in the dough. You know, he's going to become, he's already got the Raiders to be worth, $2 billion, $3 billion now, you know, since moving to Vegas. You know, the NFL, they are happy that Mark Davis got that deal done. And they are going to put everything they can in Vegas. They're going to be doing it in Vegas, you know. The draft is always going to be there. All kinds of stuff like this East-West Shrine game. Man, I love it. I'm happy for Mark Davis. I'm happy for the Raiders. I'm happy for the city of Las Vegas. You know, this is great things ahead of the Raiders. You know, our future is bright, that's for sure.
And I want to reach out once again to all the fans in the East Bay. I know it stings to have all the success and all the things starting to come to Las Vegas and people have their hands on their hips and saying, why couldn't we have that here in Oakland? Exactly the point. Why couldn't it have happened in Oakland? But the matter of fact is that it did not, and it will not. And the city of Oakland, the higher-ups, not the fans, but the higher-ups have certainly made that determination that it's not going to happen. So East Bay, come out to Las Vegas, enjoy all the things that are in there, and revel in the success of the team as we return to glory. Because remember, just like we put together the Raider Roots podcast, everything roots back to Oakland. So any future success the Raiders have is connected to the East Bay. So I encourage you all to keep in there, hang in there with the team. Come on out to Vegas, support either in person or from where you're at, and just remember that you are still a part of Raider Nation. In fact, you are the roots of Raider Nation.
They know that. I know they know that. I talked to a lot of people from the Oakland area. You know, they've dealt with this in the past. You know, when they went to L.A., you know, they came back, and then we saw the Black Hole era. You know, that was a fantastic era in the Raider Nation. Now, at first, you know, yeah, they had to deal with the heartache of losing their team again, but you see a lot of those Oaktown legends all over Las Vegas showing the Las Vegans how to get it done. You know, so while they are in Vegas, like you're saying, the roots, the heart will always be in Oakland, the Mecca, as Wayne says. But they are going there, and I'm happy to see them go there because they were upset for a while.
And I'll just make one final comment on that. I'm just so happy that that Tom Flores and John Madden and Jim Otto and some of the old traditional vets from way back in the day are getting a chance to see this and getting a chance to see this team really expand and make its imprint the way Al Davis always expected it would.
Raider Nation Explosion is back again. Saturday, July 17th at the Madera County Fairgrounds in Madera, California. Raider Homer and I will both be appearing live, and you can also get a chance to meet second-year wide receiver Brian Edwards. Tickets are available through Raider Mob Boss, who was on our show before, or you can check out the Facebook link that we have posted on our social media. We look forward to seeing you at Raider Nation Explosion this Saturday.
And we were just talking about this earlier. I am so upset that I'm not able to make it, but this past Tuesday, in fact, when this podcast comes out, it'll be probably just a week, on Tuesday, July the 6th, I had a full knee replacement operation. So I'm still recovering from that. But if there's any way at all that I can join you all virtually that are there, we will certainly do that. But I am just very jealous of both Homer and Heidi. I would love to be out there with you all at Madera on the 17th.
Well, this is a yearly thing, so next year you can be there. But I'm glad your surgery went well, and I'm glad that you took care of business, man, because next year you can be there. But no, this is a major event. My boss was on, several episodes back and talking about the Raider Nation Explosion just before COVID. Of course, it all got shut down. But these guys, Eminent Productions, they put on this event, and they put on one hell of event of an event. They got a truck show coming. They have 2 stages, one with the DJ, one with the live performances from like MC Magic, the Delphonics, Young BB, a bunch of Raider Nation musicians like 4Dub, Big Mac. I mean, it's going to be a great event. They're going to have a talent show. They're going to have a dance-off. They're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. Of course, we're going to be there broadcasting and covering it live. And yeah, of course, T3, we're going to Zoom you in or phone call you in.
Can I make a special request?
Go ahead.
At some point during the day, can one of the bands play I Hate the 49ers?
Well, that's Raiderhead, but, we'll see. In the future, hopefully. But we can definitely play it on the broadcast.
Got it.
And we'll be broadcasting live. What channel will we be on, Homer?
Well, we're going to be on the Raider Homer channel. Just search that on YouTube. Just type in Raider Homer, and it'll pop up. And give me a subscribe. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, it's going to be on the Raider Homer YouTube channel.
So we'll be looking forward to seeing all you guys there. If you can't make it, try to get there. But if you can't, check us out on YouTube, the Raider Homer channel. We'll be broadcasting live probably a few times throughout the day. We look forward to seeing you. It's going to be an awesome time. I'm looking forward to seeing Brian Edwards. Hopefully we'll have some surprises for you from the event. But come out, meet us. We'll have stickers. Look for me. I'll be in the dark gray shirt with the Only Nation podcast logo on it. And the mohawk.
And the stickers.
Stickers!
Okay, and for our discussion section today, we wanted to talk about some players that we've got our eyes on this season. 2 guys that I've got my eyes on are Dylan Stoner and Nate Hobbs. I picked the rookies for us to keep an eye on. Dylan Stoner, yeah, everyone's going to love him because of his last name. But the thing is, he's turning heads. In minicamp, the coaches really were impressed with him. He's looking good in the slot. He reminds a lot of people of Hunter Renfrow, so he might compete with him for some snaps there. The only problem is the Raiders have so many great wide receivers. Even though, according to the media, we don't have anyone in the wide receiver core, is there room for him? I think they're going to find room for him. I think he's going to make the 53-man roster.
I think the room for him is going to be on special teams for sure. Total 55 career punt returns for 372 yards, averaging 6.8 per return. Named preseason first team, all Big 12 punt returner by Athlon Sports. That's what they got him for, is returning punts. You know, you don't want to see Renfro back there anymore. And Heidi, I know damn sure you don't want to see Richard back there anymore. So I definitely see him making the team. If he's turning heads with his work ethic, you know, and being compared to Renfro, and he can play on special teams, he'll make the team.
I don't know. I'm certainly going to keep an eye on him, but I think he's more of a practice squad guy. I know he's been impressing people early, but I think once the camp opens up and everybody comes in full board, ready to go, I think the cream, as they say, will rise to the top. And I'm not sure that he has enough to make the 53-man, but like I said, I could be wrong. I don't think that he will make the 53, but I will be the first one to come on our podcast and say I was wrong, should that be the case.
Well, I hope you are wrong. I hate disagreeing with you about something, but on this one I am. I think Dylan Stoner is going to make the 53. If not, we will definitely sign him for the practice squad. That's for sure. The other guy that I was interested in is Nate Hobbs. Now, he was actually drafted by the Raiders, so there's a really good chance they're going to keep him around just for that reason. But that's not the only reason. He's a cornerback. He has looked great. He's another one that has turned heads during the preseason, during minicamp. Coaches have been really impressed with him. I think he's going to compete. He's going to compete for probably time in the slot. Outside, I see Trayvon Mullen and Casey Hayward getting the starting nod. I don't see Damon Arnett getting it. I think he's slipped on the Raiders depth chart, and he's got to work hard to earn his way back up the chart. I think Nate Hobbs is definitely going to be a contributor. He's definitely going to make the 53-man roster, and I think he's definitely going to make an impact.
Yeah, the two names I hear in the defensive backfield more often than anything else so far have been Nate Hobbs and also Amik Robertson. So you're looking at a guy who was drafted this year and a guy who was drafted last year. That right there could be your young nucleus, in addition to Trayvon Mullen. And of course, we just brought in the stud safety from TCU over the draft as well. So things are starting to come together. I really believe in the young guys. I think that there's a lot of upside to this team on the back end with proper coaching.
And I really believe in the defensive backfield as far as their coaching goes. Ron Milas is very impressive, and I think he's going to do a great job with them.
We got to solve the slot corner, though. So hopefully this kid, Nate Hobbs, rises to that occasion and takes the spot from everybody, you know, and becomes the next best thing that we, you know, at the slot corner. You know, that is something that we really, really need. I like his height, too. 6'1", 195 pounds. I mean, that's a big guy down there in the box, you know, smashing people around, you know, or banging shoulder pads, you know. So, I don't know. I mean, it's competitive in the backfield. So, this one, I don't know if he'll make the team or not. But I have heard that he's turning heads, so it's highly likely that he will.
Homer, I am willing to bet you a $20 bill that Nate Hobbs makes the team right here, right now.
All right. I'll donate to your charity of choice, and you donate to my charity of choice.
Sounds like a plan. All right, so I've got two players I'm keeping an eye on, one on the offensive side and one on the defensive side. So let's first talk about the guy on the offensive side, and I'm talking about John Simpson. Now, I really liked this signing last year. In fact, I had the Raiders in that same round looking toward Georgia guard Solomon Kindley, who ended up being picked by the Dolphins 2 picks after, and he worked his way into the starting lineup down in Miami. Now, I have to credit my buddy Sanjit for doing an awesome film breakdown of John Simpson. In that breakdown, he took a look at John Simpson's early appearances in weeks 2 and 3, and then the last 2 games of the season when he had to fill in for Denzel Good. Now, one thing we know about Tom Cable is that he likes to coach up and prepare certain guys to be swing players. Last year, that guy was Denzel Good. This year, perhaps, it can be John Simpson. When you compare the progress that Simpson made from the beginning of the year to the end, you notice 2 things. One, in the Miami and Denver games, he was much quicker off the ball, and he wasn't leaning nearly as much. Now, he's big, he's strong, he's athletic, and he's a good run blocker. I wouldn't be surprised if Cable stuck him in as a starter next to Colton Miller, which is where he finished up last season. With a productive training camp, lots of reps against the Rams, and with Richie right there behind him, I think Simpson could become that effective bridge between Andre James and Colton Miller.
I like John Simpson. I thought he played pretty well last year. I think he's going to do great this year. But I don't think he'll start at the beginning of the season. That's why they brought Richie Incognito back. Of course, they're going to want to keep him fresh, I would think. So you could see Simpson playing a little more often than some of the other backups. But I love the fact that he did play on both sides of the offensive line. That means that he's a head type player. He's a heady player. You know, he's high IQ football player. And so it's important. That's what they're going for. And John Simpson, if he can replace Richie Incognito, then, you know, we're doing great as far as, you know, drafting the players that we need to step in once these veterans that we sign are ready to move to the side and our young guys are primed and coached well and taught how to be professionals by other, players like Richie Incognito.
I really like the signing too, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to bring to the field in the next several years. I have to admit that I was wrong about Tom Cable. When we had him come on as a coach again, as the offensive line coach, I was screaming and banging my head against the wall, saying, no, how could you do this? He shut me up. He has led this offensive line incredibly well, and he's done a lot of amazing things with it. How he was able to keep musical chairs straight last year and actually put out a decent line is definitely impressive. I think he's going to take Simpson and he's going to bring him to the next level. I like the idea about him being waiting in line behind Richie Incognito. Richie is getting up there in age. I love him. But if there's a chance he goes down with injury, it's a good thing we've got someone like Simpson behind him, waiting in the wings, ready to take over. And I think he's going to do a great job.
And I'm glad, Heidi, that you mentioned Tom Cable, because a lot of people really have been giving Cable a lot of heat because they remembered him as a head coach. Well, some of those same people are giving Gus Bradley some heat for his time as a head coach at Jacksonville. But I'll just remind you that during that time, not many head coaches were successful in Oakland. And around the time that Gus Bradley was there, not many head coaches were successful in Jacksonville. But when you come in and you do what you do best, and what Tom Cable does best is put together and work with and adapt offensive lines. What Gus Bradley does is he works together and adapts and puts together a good defensive team. And along that go the coaches. So I'm glad that you mentioned Tom Cable.
I think what a lot of people forget is he was one of the most successful head coaches that we had during that time period.
I was going to say, I was a Tom Cable fan. I was upset that he got fired. But, of course, after what happened with Randy Hansen and then his ex-wife or his ex-girlfriend, you know, the rumors around all that, I knew he wasn't going to last long. But, you know, I'm glad that he's back. You know, hopefully all that was taken care of, all those off-field issues. Apparently they have been because, yeah, he can coach up an offensive line. And you talk about doing what you do best. I think that's what's most important right now on this team, right? It's just do your job. If everybody's just doing their job and put in a position to do their job well, we will go to the Super Bowl.
All right, now on defense, my eyes are squarely on Darius Philon. Now, I had to go back and look at tape from when he was with the Chargers in 2018, but what I saw is a guy who, when he was positioned right, had an excellent swim move and was able to harass the quarterback. And the two main ones I watched him oppose were Derek Carr and Patrick Mahomes. Well, those are the two main ones anyway. Things didn't work out when he was in Arizona, so Gus brought him here. All signs so far is that he's hungry, motivated, and although I don't know this, I strongly believe that his early development made it much easier for the Raiders to show David Irving the door. Now, we'll see what happens during training camp. And there are going to be some fierce battles right there on the front line that will unfold. But I definitely see Philon in the mix. Now, he's only 27, and I think he could be a starter. Put him next to Ngakoue or even Mad Max, and I think the 6'1", 286-pound D-tackle can really up his totals from 4.5 sacks that he got in 2017 and the 4 sacks he got in 2018. If he doesn't start, I certainly think more of the D-line spots is his to lose. And I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on Mr. Darius Philon all camp long.
If we can get 19 starts or if we can get 80 tackles 9.5 sacks and 2 passes defense and some forced fumbles, in 54 games from this guy. I think that's more than what we've been getting from the defensive tackles that played before him. So hopefully this guy shows up and plays like he did for the Chargers. And that's what we need, too, is somebody in the middle of that line that can eat up blocks and put pressure on the quarterback, gets his hands up when he can't get to the quarterback, and is quick in trying to force fumbles. I mean, that's what we need. So hopefully he plays well. This would be a very good addition to the team if he can play well.
And if he comes in and plays the way he did for the Chargers, I'm all for it. But the thing is, I think that he might be one of those surprise people that don't even make the team. You're not hearing his name. People have not been all that impressed with his play so far. I'm a little bit worried about him actually staying around and contributing. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make the team. I would love to be wrong because I would love to see those stats for us, like what Homer mentioned. But I'm a little hesitant on this one, T3.
Well, we will just have to disagree on that and both be hopeful.
Yeah, because I definitely, if he can bring in how he played with the Chargers, I'm definitely for it. I think he would be a great contributor.
Well, let's go ahead and flip it. We'll start on the offensive line. I think the glaring question mark is Andre James, right? He's been with us for 3 years. He's got the numbers, the 6'4", 300 pounds. I think in the Detroit game he had some trouble, but I mean that's to be expected when you're young. Tom Cable, if they believe in him, I'm confident, right? And of course, if it doesn't work out with him, then we got Nick Martin, who was again one of 7 centers to allow 1 sack last year. So I mean, we have some options here, but I really want to keep my eye on Andre James because he's replacing Rodney Hudson. While I don't expect him to be Rodney Hudson, he's got to be able. Hopefully, he learned from Rodney Hudson. That's the whole point. Is if Simpson's learning from Richie Incognito, we needed James to be learning from Hudson. So when he comes to that line of scrimmage, I want to see him pointing out the Mike linebacker and calling his signals and all his adjustments and all this and that. That's what I want to see from him. Not allowing a bunch of sacks, but most importantly, getting off of that ball when we're running and pushing that pocket backwards, man, or pushing that defensive line backwards. And then, between the 20s, chipping on that defensive line and then getting back into the next part of the defense and getting your hands on a linebacker. I'm hoping that this kid can really fill some big shoes. He doesn't have to be as great as Hudson, but he has to be better than average. So I think Andre James is a player you should definitely keep your eye on, and I know I will be.
There were so many times on last year's podcast that I wanted to chirp in and make a comment about Andre James and say I really would like to see him step up and be utilized more because I saw him play in college and was really, really impressed. But he's done all the things he needed to do in his development, and Tom Cable had enough confidence in him to say, okay, big boy, you've got some big shoes to fill, and we have confidence in you to fill those shoes. So now he's just got to go out and do it. But yeah, Homer, I'll certainly be keeping an eye on him this year. But I think good things are in works for Andre James.
I think Andre James is going to do just fine. Is he going to be Rodney Hudson? No, definitely not. Only Rodney Hudson can be him. But Andre James, he's going to fill his shoes pretty well. Big shoes to fill, but I think he's going to do a pretty good job. He's been able to jump right in there whenever Hudson went down, do a fine job, and didn't miss a beat. There's, of course, concerning when he had to, but I kept an eye on him, and I was impressed with how he did. Now, the other thing that I haven't heard mentioned that much, but that might come into play with Andre James is Jimmy Morrissey. He's looked very impressive as well. Yeah, he was a 7th round draft pick. He was kind of an also-ran. Nobody really thought of him. But he was supposed to be the 3rd or 4th ranked center on the board. And he's got a chip on his shoulders. And he's ready to play. He's ready to fight. I think Andre James has the incumbent role. He's definitely been the one next in line, waiting for Hudson to move on. But Morrissey, he can make an impact as well.
About 60 years ago, probably a little bit more than that, The NFL said that there was a kid out of Miami who couldn't make it as a center in the league. And he was drafted in the AFL by the Raiders, and he became a center. And he became probably Mr. Raider to everybody else. So,
Jim Otto.
Jim Otto, there you go.
Homer knew that one.
There you go. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility. There have been people that have been looked over, and Jimmy Morrissey's always had that work ethic and always done what he needed to do to put himself in place on the field to make plays. So I wouldn't put it past. I would not be surprised to see Jimmy Morrissey at some point making his way onto the field.
All right, I'm going to go to the other side of the ball with my second player, and that's safety Trayvon Moehrig. I think that, there's a lot of hype around this kid. We took Leatherwood, and people were pissed off that we didn't take Moehrig in that spot. Then we got Moehrig the next round, and everybody's like, okay, all right, at least we got the guy we wanted. This is supposed to be the best safety in the draft. Now, I know that we're all clamoring for a great middle linebacker, but if we have that safety that's going to be able to cover or play in cover 3 and help out those cornerbacks that are out there on islands by themselves, and then come down and lay the wood. 6'2", 202 pounds, that's a big body. So I think my eye on defense is going to be on Trayvon Moehrig. Sometimes the free safety is the big dog on the field, and if we can get that out of him and Kwiatkowski can call the signals, we could get a good 1-2 punch with those guys in the middle. And we'll tell you, we talked about Phylon. Of course, we needed a defensive tackle to really help with that too. But the middle of the field has to have some strong players. So keep your eye on Trayvon Moehrig at 6'2", 202 pounds, and the cover 3, supposedly the best safety out of the draft.
I was thrilled that they got Trayvon Moehrig. I was really thrilled that they were able to put the package together, pull the string, and make that happen. So getting Alex Leatherwood and then Trayvon Moehrig back-to-back, Moehrig, I've heard it pronounced both ways. I'm happy with that. And I think he's going to do big things. And I think working with Gus Bradley and particularly with Ron Miles, he is going to see the potential and the skill sets that Moehrig has, and he's going to have him play his game. He's going to have him do the things that he's best at, and that's going to make all the difference, I think, on that back end of the secondary.
I loved the Moehrig pick. Was really excited to see it. I was okay with Leatherwood. I have to admit, it wasn't a name that I expected, but I was okay with it. When we pulled the trigger and got Moehrig, I wasn't excited, not only because the Cowboys also didn't get a defensive back that they wanted, but because we got the one that we wanted. And he's going to do a good job. He's going to step right up. He's going to step in, and he's going to be ready. I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays, and I think he's going to step right in. I think Miles is going to really help him, and I totally agree. I've got my eyes on him. Got my eyes on Hobbs. I've got my eyes on Moehrig, and I'm ready to see how this defensive backfield comes together.
Let's go.
Okay, T3, how about bringing us your top 3 for the week?
T3's top 3.
All right, here is this week's top 3. Number 1, there were several times during the course of the 2020 season where John Gruden split Darren Waller out as a flanker, creating nightmare matchups for defensive backs. Now, in my opinion, if we could feature more sets with Waller, Edwards, and Ruggs, with Moreau at tight end, and then sprinkling Ross, Renfro, and a couple of others into the mix, we may not have to keep this thing on the ground, although we all know that Gruden likes to run the ball. Let's see how this offense transitions. Number 2, what has been missing the last couple of years has been confidence on the defensive side. Now that Gus Bradley's come in, along with his coaches, new talent's been brought in, players have been put on notice, and some good young talent has been drafted as well. I see the confidence starting to build. Now the Raiders have to learn and practice how to finish games. That will make the difference in the season in the year 2021. And number 3, this may sound surprising, but there are only 3 players on the current Raiders roster with 10 or more years of NFL experience. Casey Hayward has 10, offensive lineman Sam Young has 12, and guard Richie Incognito has 14. Also, there are 4 players on the roster with 9 years experience: Jonathan Hankins, Theo Riddick, Derek Carrier, and backup offensive lineman Patrick Umame. only one of which, Hankins, may make the team. Okay, maybe Carrier again. But there's definitely a youth movement going on, and I like it. Now we'll see about any other experienced free agents added down the line. And that is this week's Top 3.
You know, I love that we have a tight end like Darren Waller. Being able to line up in those running formations and pass out of them, man, that is what makes an offense, potent, especially a Gruden-style offense. When you can line up and run, and everybody's expecting run because they know Gruden likes to run, and then you get the play action going and you go over the top to Edwards or Waller who's in motion. Man, that has me excited to see what this offense can be like this year. Because it's not just John Gruden, or it's not just Derek Carr that is in his multiple years in the Gruden offense. It's Darren Waller, and now Josh Jacobs, and now Renfro. Now all these guys that are talented are starting to come into their third year with Gruden or so, right? I mean, that's exciting, man. It's exciting. I'm super happy to see that is happening, and I'm excited to see how it goes down this year. And then, confidence on the defensive side of the ball. That's big, now you talked about finishing games. A lot of that comes with confidence. When you have confidence, you can seal the deal. You can slam the door on the other team's face, and that's how you feel inside, so that translates to the field. So I'm excited to see Gus Bradley get his hands on this young defensive backfield, coached with Ron Wireless, of course, and get these guys' confidence up, man. That way they're taking those jump routes and they're intercepting the ball and they're ripping for the fumbles. They're not just trying to make the open field tackle. They're coming in there punching at that ball. You know what I mean? And wrapping up in the process and bringing them down with the confidence that because they know they can make an open field tackle, right? They know they can do the basics of football. But when you can come in with that confidence and punch that ball loose, man, that's when the other team is like, uh-oh, these guys came to play. So, Gus Bradley, man, I'm glad he's bringing that confidence. And then, I'm glad that we are going young. Our roster is young. Of course, we're always going to bring in veterans to help with the new guys, but eventually we're going to have our guys be helping with the newer guys. So, I like what Gruden and Mayock are doing. I'm still giving them a B. When we win that Super Bowl, it's going to be an A, but we got to get that Super Bowl. But they are doing great things. They're not jumping the gun. Like last year, Yannick Ngakoue, right? Everybody wanted him. Now, maybe we would have made the playoffs. Maybe we wouldn't have made the playoffs. But think about it like this: we didn't use those draft picks. We got a Leatherwood, and we got Morag, and we got Yannick. And then this year everybody's like, trade for Devontae Adams. No, let the year play out, and then find out what happens in the offseason. Because if you can get him to come in without trading for him, boom. Of course, Green Bay may put the franchise tag on him, but for me, if I'm an owner and Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to be there, and here comes this wide receiver that's coming into his 9th year, I don't know if I want to put the franchise tag on that guy. I might just have to let him walk, depending on what happens with Aaron Rodgers. So, we'll see what happens. But we're going young. We got a great young wide receiver group, and I'm excited. I'm super excited to see what this young team is going to do.
I'd love to see some double tight end sets with Waller and Moreau. Moreau was neglected last year. It was a shame because Jason Witten, I like the guy, but he was no Moreau. And Moreau, if we use him and feature him from time to time like we did his rookie year, it's going to make a big difference. Our offense is going to be based on the ground a lot, but with Waller, Waller is our number one receiver. With a number one receiver like Waller, you can't go wrong. I like the guy from the time he did that first end run around against, I believe it was the Cardinals, right after he came over from the Ravens. Everyone was asking, who is that? And I looked it up, Darren Waller. I saw his story, and I actually mentioned it on the other podcasts I do from time to time. Haven't had an episode for a while, but hopefully that'll change soon. Ladies of Darkness. And
ladies!
Yeah.
Blast from the past. There we go.
Yeah. I mentioned that he had some demons, but he had fought his way through, and, he looked like he could be a big contributor in the future. And, boy, I ended up being pretty spot on with that. So I'd love to see him featured more. Yeah, we featured the heck out of him last year. I'd love to see him featured even more. Can't go wrong with a guy like him, on or off the field.
The other teams knew it was coming, and they couldn't stop it.
Exactly. And definitely confidence on the defensive side of the ball. Confidence hasn't been there because, well, the play hasn't been there. Bring the play, the confidence will come. The defense is young, but I can see them making a big difference. Do I see them, going from 32nd to 7th? No. But if we can get into the 15 to 20 range, I would be happy with that after one season. And I think Gus Bradley could lead us to that. The defense could start to build that confidence with the play. And I do love you know what? I'm going to have to name this episode something about like Heidi loves, because I have loved everything in this episode. I keep saying that, but I really, really have. Gruden has been known to always feature the old free agents, that are on their last leg, and why are they signing him? Boy, he has embraced the youth of this team. I'm excited to see what they can do.
So we will call this episode Why Heidi Loves Nathan Peterman.
Why Heidi Loves Homer.
A little bit better than Heidi expresses her eternal love for Trent Brown. A little bit nicer.
Here we go.
A lot of bit nicer.
Homer, you got a hammer this week?
I do, but he's resting right now. Oh, Mjolnir, she's resting. He's resting. Whoever.
Okay.
He, she, it's resting.
So no hammer this week.
Nah.
Homer has a puppy. Puppy's a little crazy.
Here we go.
Still hasn't been able to beat our puppy. Our puppy went to the doggy psychiatrist this week. That was fun.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I need to take mine. She's a little strange, but then again, she is my dog.
That's true. Sounds like she's just...
What are you saying there?
Sounds like she's just doing what she's supposed to be doing.
Must be genetic.
Are you saying the dog is taking cues from its owner?
Very possible. All right, give us a call at 904-701-8667. Leave a voicemail or text message at that number, or send in a message via social media, and we'll share your thoughts. This week, now, I don't know who this was from. It was a really good message, but perhaps you can let us know who you are. Let me read it. Hello, Only Nation Pod. First, I want to thank all of you for the great job you do on the show. I truly appreciate the honest and unique takes on all the Raiders and Raider Nation news. My favorite segments are Heidis Heroes, created by Heidi, named by Homer, Homer's Hammer, and Homer, Did You Know? Again, thank you so much for keeping the nation in touch. Finally, as one Raider to another, I need the nation's help. My wife of 28 years has been diagnosed with a brain tumor. We have set up a GoFundMe account to help pay the out-of-pocket expenses for treatment. It'd be greatly appreciated if you could pass the link along for maximum traffic. We've done everything we can, and we're hoping that you may have a bigger reach. Help Dawn beat glioblastoma. And we will be posting the link for all you guys. In any case, go Raiders. Raiders!
Absolutely.
Our prayers and thoughts go out to Dawn and your family. We're rooting for her, and we will definitely throw up that link for you on our Twitter and Facebook. And to our listeners, if you can go take a look at it, if you have the means to support him, give freely. If not, just thoughts and prayers will be greatly welcome.
And we will try to gather more information and pass that along on a later show as well.
Yeah, prayers going out to you, Don, and your family, man. Thanks for listening. But yeah, we would love to help you with your GoFundMe. Raider Nation, that's what we're all about, is looking out for each other, helping out each other in times of need. This is a time of need. So I hope that you will help in this time of need. man. You're like, again, prayers going out to you and your family. And on a lighter note, like you said, you liked 2.5 of the segments that I'm involved in by name, or that I had a hand in creating. So I appreciate that very much, Heidi. That's 2.5 to half a point right there. Keep that score. Appreciate that, Don. Thank you.
He mentioned mine first. That's all I can say.
Homer's just trying to make up some ground.
Hey.
He has so far to go.
Somebody
It's
likes
understandable.
Hey, Homer, keep trying. You're getting there.
Hey, I'm not a quitter, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And hey, for all of you guys, last week, did you have a chance to listen to our episode that was a crossover with the Raider Roots podcast? If not, check it out. Or check out T3's own feed, the Raider Roots podcast. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe on your favorite podcast apps, and we will be publishing another episode this week. So keep your eyes peeled and give it a listen.
This week we go all the way back to 1960.
All right, and it's time for us to find out what Homer doesn't know.
Hey Homer, did you know?
All right, now it's time for another edition of Hey Homer, Did You Know? In this segment, I will ask Homer and Heidi and the rest of our listening audience a Raiders-related question with 3 possible answers to choose from. It's multiple choice, so just give it your best guess. So here goes. Here's this week's question. Who is the last Raiders quarterback to compete in a Rose Bowl game during his collegiate career? Is it A, Terrell Pryor, B, Marcus Mariota, or C, Connor Cook? Homer, what do you think?
Man, I do not know college football well enough at all to make an educated guess. And I'm not going to do the whole obvious question or obvious answer approach. I'm just going to go with B, Marcus Mariota.
All right, Heidi, what's your guess?
That makes too much sense, Homer, so I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to go C, Connor Cook.
The correct answer is B, Marcus Mariota.
Yes!
So, Homer, you are correct.
Woohoo! Don't overthink stuff, guys. Don't overthink stuff.
I was going to try to make it easy on you both and have you both get it right. So there we go. Reverse psychology sometimes pays off and sometimes not. And Connor Cook actually did compete in a Rose Bowl the year before Marcus Mariota. And, of course, Terrell Pryor was in a Rose Bowl back in 2010 before he was drafted in 2011. So a couple of years difference there, but a little fun little tidbit that some of you may have known, some of you may not have. But Homer, you got this one dead on this week.
Wah, wah, wah. Sorry, Heidi.
A broken clock is right twice in a day, right? Is that how it goes?
That's
God, I can't
right.
believe I just butchered that.
You go, Homer. Congratulations. I'm happy for you.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy for myself. Finally.
God, it killed me to say that.
There's another point.
Oh, another point.
Another point.
All right.
He still mentioned mine first.
All right. And now, Raider Nation, it's time for a segment that I had a big part of creating and naming, Heidis Hero.
You didn't create it. You named it.
1 point taken away.
No, only a half point. Only a half point. It's 2-1.
Okay, half a point.
Flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be?
All right. This week's Raiders player was adopted as a child. As a result, he spends time promoting various organizations that raise awareness and help the adoption of children. After being adopted, he went on to become a state wrestling champion his senior year in high school. He was signed to the Raiders in 2019 as an undrafted free agent out of Wisconsin. In 2020, he was the Las Vegas Raiders nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. This award is presented annually by the NFL, honoring a player's volunteer and charity work, as well as his excellence on the field. Who is this man? Should be pretty clear by now that I'm talking about Raiders starting fullback Alec Ingold. Not only has he done all this stuff, recently he visited pediatric patients at the Cystic Fibrosis Center of Southern Nevada. While he was there, he met with children, signed autographs, took pictures, and brought them gear. That might seem like a minor thing, but it just proves why this young man should be recognized as a hero this week. As a result, I am naming him this week's official Heidis Hero, Alec Ingold.
And if anybody connected with this podcast can get the word out to Alec Ingold, we would love to have you on the show. You are a true Raider. You are a true humanitarian, hard worker, and we would just love to have you on there. I think you embody everything that the Raiders represent.
Absolutely. Alec Ingold is a solid guy. You know, we've talked a lot about the things that he does for the community on this podcast. It would be an honor to interview him for sure. But I'm glad that he does all these great things for the community, man. I'm just, again and again, we talk about this, and it just inspires me. You know, I try to do fundraisers and things like that. And so seeing other people do that on a regular basis just reminds me that, hey, this is not just a one-time thing. This is a all-the-time thing. So kudos to Alec Ingold for doing great work in his community. And kudos to all the Raiders and all the past Heidis Heroes that have done great things for the community.
And that about does it this week for the Only Nation podcast. We won't have our regular show next week, but keep an eye out. We might have some surprises for you from Raider Nation Explosion. If you'd like to help support the show, buy us a hot dog at buymeacoffee.com/onlynationpod. You can find me, Heidi Stabbert, on social media as @KeplerPromDress on Twitter and Instagram, or Heidi Stabbert on Facebook. You can also find me on YouTube on Captain Jack Rackham's channel every other Tuesday night. Join the DC wench Peggy Holmes and Andrea Trask on the Captain and Wenches Show.
All right, Raider Nation, we got a lot going on even during the off season. Now, and you can find me, Raider Homer, by going to the RaiderHomerChannel.buzzsprout.com. There you'll find links to all my different social media accounts as well as to all my podcasts on whatever podcasting app you listen to. And please go to ChuckyStuggs.com and get you a Chucky Stuggs flag, especially if you're going into the stadium for a game this year. If you can get your flag on TV and provide Chucky Stuggs with footage, which all you got to do is just press record on your DVR and get that footage to them, they'll give you $500. So just go to ChuckyStuggs.com and buy a flag and get ready to enter their flag challenge. Again, just go to ChuckyStuggs.com. Enter the promo code HOMERFLAG to get $9.99 off. Use the promo code HOMER to get 15% off of merchandise as well at ChuckyStuggs.com.
And remember, Raider Explosion is coming up Saturday, July 17th at the Madera County Fairgrounds in Madera, California. Come if you can. If not, log on to the Raider Homer channel and join us virtually. So remember, we really love getting responses from you, Raider Nation. So now that you've listened to the show, here's what you need to do. Send us your name and address so we can send you some free Raider swag. Call us and tell us what you want to know. Throw us an interesting nugget that we could use on one of our upcoming episodes and become a part of what we're doing here. Remember, this is the Only Nation, and we want you to be a part of it. So call us, 904-701-8667. That's 904-701-8667. Call us now and join the Only Nation podcast family. And there are two easy ways to find me on social media. You can send me a tweet at T3_sports703. Since I've got my leg propped up all week, I'll be on Twitter probably quite a lot. Or you can hit me up on Facebook at Tom, Thom Jones. Now, I'll do my best to respond back, and I would love to include your comments on upcoming show. And thank you for tuning in. Also, we thank you for getting involved.
Until next time, everyone, go Raiders.
Go Raiders.
We are not just a nation. We are the only nation.